Bartel's words were true. How he rolled his head was transferred to Bartel, the head of the Busan diocese, all of the authority to execute aid funds. Father Schwarz tried to solve the problem with the help of Busan city authorities, but that was not easy either. As if there had been a secret backdoor deal between government officials and Bartel, the officials all took a cold attitude. The church sent people to Germany to try to contact the Miserere Foundation, but the matter was not resolved easily. It was the source of trouble to entrust Bartel with financial management. The bishop and Father Schwarz were betrayed by a trusted aide and frustrated with the plan to establish the hospital. But soon they calmed down. The bishop closed his eyes to the matter, which would remain a big stain on his career, and Father Schwarz just covered it up, saying that God's will might have been to build a school rather than a hospital. However, there was a problem with Miserere to get an understanding of the sudden change in the use of the funding. I once studied at the University of Munich, so I was fluent in German and well-versed in church business. Father Schwarz sent me to Germany to solve this problem. The German aid organization, the Miserere Foundation, said hospitals and schools were good, but the church's property was executed by an individual in the management of the parish. So it did not officially approve. I've been in and out of Germany several times to solve this problem for years, but I haven't reached a smooth agreement with the Micro-Law Foundation. This has made it impossible for European aid organizations, including Germany, to expect further assistance. The Korean church was shunned by them for poor management of aid funds. After talking, the young priest took a cigarette out of his arms, handed Kanglip a cigarette, and himself took one in his mouth. After lighting the cigarette, Kanglip opened his mouth. What a ridiculous thing to do. Not only the parish office here, but also the German aid organization, played by a man named Bartel. But what would he have done? Because it was the 1960s. It was when society was in a mess. They only paid attention to the fact that German aid would be used in Korea in any way, and no one would have cared about the details. And it was a case involving religious groups, foreign aid organizations, and foreigners, so we couldn't afford to deal with legal disputes. Kanglip nodded with a bitter look. The government, which offered a banner to rebuild the war-torn country, only ran forward. At that time, the government and the people did not look back or sideways. Most irregularities and corruption were tolerated if they were to help the nation's development. The entire Republic of Korea was left to the race for modernization and advancement. It was a time when only speed and speed toward the goal recognition of economic power were recognized as virtues. The value of traditional Korean recognition or justice has been swept away by the infinite race and put on the back burner. Of course, it is true that this country has become a place to live in with its concentration and efforts toward modernization and advancement, but it was regrettable that it had lost so much. The young priest threw the cigarette out of the window again. Watching the scene, Kanglip recalled a smile at the corners of his mouth. I know it's a discourtesy, but I think you'd rather wear a uniform than a priest's. I've heard a lot about that. Rather, Major Kang seems to be the one who fits well with the priestly robe. The two laughed loud for a moment. When the laughter died down, the young priest opened his mouth again. In fact, if it weren't for Father Schwarz, I wouldn't have been born on this land. So I followed him like a father. I became God's servant because I wanted to resemble him. Of course, I'm a great man who can't keep up with Father Schwarz's heel.